Testing, 1, 2, 3. G'day, Harry and Alice, and everybody over there. Well, this is pretty hard. In fact, it's the hardest thing in the world, talking to a machine. Just don't know what to say. But I'll start off with the inquest at Charleville. With Christian, he's still plodding along. He's his same old cheery self, plodding along in school, and hopefully he'll be going to grade 6 next year. Well, the inquest was a real eye-opener, and I'm really glad I went out there. It was an 8-hour bus trip on the way out, and I had been out there years and years ago to Charleville, but I'm really in love with the place. I wouldn't mind moving out there, actually. Anyway, the temperature in Charleville was 40 degrees Celsius the last 2 days we were there. At the moment here it's about 32, but it's very humid. Out there it's very dry and very hot, and you didn't perspire, and it just didn't take that, your energy as it does here. So I thought this is the best way of doing it from here on in, just to send a tape over a few times a year. Mum never writes much anymore either since Dad died. We just keep in contact by phone. My last phone bill was $405, so I won't be ringing you guys up. Not too much anyway, probably once or twice each bill. There were 4 families out there. There was myself and Midge Dowman. We were the only 2 wives. She lost her husband Rex. Then the Andersons, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson and their daughter Kay, they lost their son Jeffrey. And the Kerwins, they lost their son Stephen. So we were the only ones out there. There were 3 solicitors out there. There were the Andersons, plus they went in halves with Jeanette Vidler. She wasn't there. And Stradis and Atco. The Anderson solicitor charged $600 and he was just A1. He's also an engineer, and he was right up on it, with all, I don't know what kind of engineer, but he was just right up on everything. He's really sharp, really witty and very quick. My solicitor, Mr. Blakeney, said he wouldn't go out because he's not up on aeronautical procedure, and he was going to charge me $800 a day, and that's not including airfares, which is another $600, accommodation, meals and booze. So it would have ended up costing me $5,000 just to get him out there, and he wouldn't have done any good whatsoever. In fact, I feel like dropping him entirely. It was really good speaking to you on the phone the other night, Harry. I was trying to tell you as much as I could in a short time, so I'll have to start all over again now. Well, to start off with, the door on that particular plane came off in mid-flight between Norfolk Island and Sydney about 3 years ago. Also, the pilot had cirrhosis of the liver. He was in the advanced stages. Yet he was a real Christian. He didn't drink at all. And so nobody really knows exactly, Evidently his wife is trying to tell everybody that he was constipated. He'd been constipated for quite a few years, and that can bring on cirrhosis, but I heard from a doctor yesterday that is absolutely impossible. But that's just one doctor's opinion, so I don't know. He only had 8 hours flying experience of a night in that particular type of aircraft. Night flying. Sorry for repeating myself all the time. I didn't get to see the plane out in Charleville. I got out there late, but everybody else went out to see it. They burnt all the seats, evidently. All the seats have gone except one, because they were pretty gory. Sylvia Anderson and daughter didn't go to see it either. They went to the pub and got sloshed. And so far, the investigation, just the aviation side of it, has cost $20,000. And I think, they had to send the engines to Canada. Christian just came home and he bought a card in from the post box, and it's got to Mrs. Sandy Wedder and family, 30 South Street. Then it's got, in big bold letters, not at this address, try 30 South Street. So that's Australia Post for you. It's from Hank and Edna.
Hi Grandpa, hi Grandma. I just came home from school and I wet my hair and I'm really hot. Auntie Lorraine looked after us while Mum was at Charleville, and I really missed her.
Arch von Dongen, I think you pronounce it, or von Dongen, he was out there for the whole 5 days. He's a pilot for Morse Aviation. And there's an article in the paper, you'll be getting photostated copies of this, but this particular article in this one paper said the sudden movement of several passengers from the front to the rear of the plane could cause serious control problems. Well, he didn't say that. I wasn't there for his evidence, but he didn't say that, and he really got stuck into the reporter for the Courier Mail that was out there, this young Greg. And young Greg, that's not what he said it either. He said, when he sent it into Brisbane, it got mixed up in the editing, not mixed up, but twisted and turned. What Arch said, they've done tests, and if 15 men went down to the back of the plane, it would make flying uncomfortable, but the pilot would not lose control, and it takes something short of a bulldozer down the back of the plane before the pilot did lose control. Midge and I really hit it off, Midge Dowman. She was left with 3 young kids under the age of 11, and she's been just as crazy as I have the last 15 months, and really down and under, and it was really cute to meet her, and we felt this real empathy toward each other, and I think we'll be friends for life. We ring each other up all the time, and the hotel we stayed in went from one block, must have been about 110, 120 years old, from one block to the other, with at least 100 rooms, or damn near. And we were the only 2 in there, except for a shearer. He was up the other end, and this old bushy, he came in 2 days later. Stephen Kerwin was found up in the baggage compartment, and the marks at his back were indicative of him going from the front of the plane to the back along the ceiling, and there was nothing much wrong with him except he had a broken neck, and I didn't see his photo, but Midge saw it and the parents saw it, and he just looked like he was asleep. He had cuts and abrasions, but he went to the baggage compartment feet first through the webbing. Midge's husband Rex was found up in between the pilots, and she saw his photo. I don't think there was too much left of him. She said she had to see the photo because she had to pretend all this 15 months she's been pretending that he was still coming home, that he was still working out west and still coming home, and then when she finally saw the photo she realised he was dead and that he never come home. So that really helped her. I told the police prosecutor just before lunch on the Wednesday that I wanted to see Ken's photo. There must have been about a dozen photos, I guess, of each one, and they're fairly big, blown-up photos. And he said, well, the magistrate had them, and he'd try and get them for when it finished in the 5 o'clock that evening. Anyway, when it finished, he went over to the magistrate's bench and he was sorting through them, and I sort of got a glimpse while he was over there. I was about 20 foot away, and Midge was about 5 foot away from me, behind me, in an angle, and she got a better glimpse than I did. And anyway, when he brought them over, he sort of had them face into his chest, and I said, no, look, I said, take them away, I just can't see them. But Midge told me later on, she said she got a better glimpse than what I did, and he was all intact. He had arms and legs and everything else. Psyching myself up for the next inquest, which will probably be around March or April, to have a look at Ken's photo, but probably at a distance of 10 to 15 foot away, face on, because I've never ever believed that he was in that coffin. I've just never believed it, and I've spent that many nights lying awake in bed trying to picture how he was, whether he was decapitated or, had arms or legs or cut in half or what. So I want to see it, but not close up.
Hi, Grandpa. Hi, Grandpa. Hi, Grandpa.
I just want to go back on a couple of things. When I said I lie in bed sometimes, trying to picture how Ken was. I'm not being morbid or sadistic. It's just I just can't block those thoughts out, and I think it's pretty natural. And also, when I said that the Anderson solicitor charged $600, that was $600 a day. We'll still be over at Easter if it doesn't clash with this last leg of the inquest. I've absolutely got to get to this next one because there's too many things left up in the air. As it stands now, we don't get a penny out of this because they just can't blame it on negligence. I don't care about the money anymore. In fact, I've even forgotten about that. But as long as the boys' names are cleared, they're still trying to bring up this fighting business. And the last couple of days out there, they sort of dropped that. They sort of realised how ridiculous that was and dropped it. Something definitely happened to the plane or the pilot. I believe it was the pilot myself, but I don't know. It's just a feeling. This chief investigator from Canberra, aviation investigator, Doc Whitburn, or we call him Doc, it's a nickname, I don't know, his name is Cyril, I think. At that time, the plane was serviced 2 days before the crash. It was serviced on the 26th, had a complete overhaul, and this Doc Whitburn went down to Archerfield Aerodrome down in Brisbane, and he wanted to ask the engineers down there questions, and they said we cannot answer any questions and on the grounds that it may incriminate us. So he was then invited to issue a summons in accordance with the air navigation regulations, evidently, and they still refused to answer the questions for the same reason, that it might incriminate them. So then he found out that he could fine them $50 each for each question unanswered. And he went to a solicitor, and the solicitor went deeper into it, and it turned out that he could fine them $1,000 for every question the engineers refused to answer. Anyway, it would have involved a big court case. Doc Whitburn just dropped it. He said he refused to enter into that charade and went back to Canberra. But what I want to find out is, why did those engineers refuse to answer questions about the overhauling of the plane on the grounds that it may incriminate them? And there's just so many things that just don't add up in my book. Also, these same engineers from Hawker Pacific are being called up for their next inquest, so that should be very interesting. Kevin Scanlon, he's always been around rigs for years, OD&E, ATCO, and he's one of the golden oldies like Covey and, Ken was, and, and they called him up on the Thursday to give evidence, and they kept on and on and on about was there anything unusual in the baggage compartment, because we all know that the boys had a big load of fish they caught out there illegally. And anyway, he said the baggage compartment was chock-a-block from floor to ceiling with baggage because they were all coming home, And they kept on and on about him, about was there anything unusual in the baggage compartment. He said no. He said there were garbage bags, those big plastic garbage bags. He said he didn't know what were in them. And yes, evidently they caught all these fish, and that plane wasn't supposed to be overloaded. It came out in the court that it wasn't overloaded, but it was. It was, from what I've heard, it was grossly overloaded. And also, I want to have a good talk to Matt Reckner when I next see him. I'm very disappointed in Matt, and so was Midge, because Matt told me that Ken was the best body of the whole lot, and he was strapped in, and he definitely was. Well, he was strapped in. I know that now. He was strapped in. But he also told me the same thing, that Rex was strapped in. He was the best body of the whole lot when Rex was found up between Ron Strady and the pilot. Also, he said he went straight out there that night. Well, he didn't get out there until after 12:30 the following day, and evidently the bodies were all gone by then. So I just don't know. I haven't got all the facts on that yet, but I want to have a good talk to Matt, because as I said, I'm very disappointed. At the next inquest, Cynthia Moore, the pilot's wife, is getting the pathologist. She's calling the pathologist up that did the autopsies to give evidence. I haven't read Ken's medical report. I meant to do it out there, but I was so uptight about seeing the photos that I said it was a Wednesday, it was a Thursday. And I was just so uptight on that last day, thinking about seeing the photos, that I forgot all about the medical report. But I'll read that the next time, and I'll try and get a copy of it for you too. So I don't know what, his blood alcohol reading was. Evidently they had a barbecue. Well, I don't know if it was the night before or the week before. All the rig guys that have given evidence so far, they all say it was a week before. But they've all read reports that the other guys have given, even Matt's way back in February, and they're all sticking to the same story. But I have a feeling it was the night before. It was on one of the cattle stations out there. I know young Jeffrey Anderson, he was 21 or 22. I know his was .22, but it was 4 days before they did the autopsy on the bodies, and alcohol ferments, so it might have been only .10, because it does ferment, with everything slowed down and everything stopped. So as I said, I'll get Ken's medical report, and I'll get a copy, or I'll bring his report over when we come over, and you can photostat it if you want. I'm getting a transcript of all the inquests so far up to date, when it's all finished. And it's probably as big as a great big volume of books. I don't know, but evidently it's going to be pretty big, of every word spoken in that court. so I'll get a copy of that and bring it over if it's not too heavy. The plane went spiraled. It didn't take a deep dive down, like straight down. It spiraled for 20,000 feet, which would have taken about 20 seconds, roughly, I guess. It pulled out at 6,700 feet. Now, whoever pulled that plane out, there might have been Ron Stratty. He had a pilot's licence, but he wasn't very experienced. And I don't know how many hours he had up. They did say in court, but I didn't write it down. But I don't think it was terribly, a large amount of hours. Whoever pulled it out to level flight, it was pulled out into level flight, but all the weight went in the plane with all the men and all the baggage went onto the wings. And the wings went right up into the air, like, in a clapping sort of a motion. And that's when the plane broke up, the 6,700 feet. Doc Whitburn, or Cyril Whitburn, was on the stand all day on Wednesday and about 1.5 to 2 hours on the Thursday. And I felt sorry for him, really, poor bugger. But no, not Doc Whitburn. Steve Woodbury, he was the other investigator with the Aviation Department in Canberra. And they went on and on to him about the cables that run, that control the shaft, the tail shaft, and run along each side of the plane. One cable was definitely snapped. It had paint on it, and it had slashed the window and the side of the plane, and it had, as I said, it had paint on it. So whether that snapped before they went into the dive or when the plane broke up, I don't know. But we had, on the Thursday night, we sort of had an impromptu sort of a party in the bar in the hotel Midge and I was staying at. Just Midge and I and the Andersons and that young reporter from the Courier Mail, Greg Stoltz, and this Steve Woodbury came too. And I had a bit of a talk to Steve, and he said about these cables, and he said, well, actually, there's 2 cables along each side. But this Steve Woodbury, he's only been with the investigating department, with the aviation for a short while, and he's not a pilot, whereas the other fellow, Doc Whitburn, he has an astronomical amount of hours up. He was in the Air Force in England. He's a POM, and also in Australia and elsewhere overseas, and he's an A1 pilot. But it was interesting to talk to Steve about these cables, because they kept on and on and on about them. Right, now I want to talk to you about the pilot, Ken Moore. Now, Ken Moore had a cold. Just hang on a sec, I've got this cable from this damn thing caught at my feet. Now, Ken Moore he had a cold, a really bad cold. He'd taken a Beck's powder and cough syrup. Now, I don't know if you have Beck's powders over there, or Vincent's, but they're a powder, they're sort of aspirin, And they had, anyway, he flew out at 18,000 feet. He flew out to Windora with Ron Stratty and Mr. Cox, or Mr. Cox got off at Windora, and Ron Stratty must have just gone out for the joy flight, I don't know, because he just went out and come straight back. And evidently, Doc Whitburn, when he was in the stand, he was saying that at a certain altitude, like they went out at 18,000 feet and come back at 27,000, well, he just climbed to 27,000, before they went into the dive. He said, with any sort of medication whatsoever, it can really knock you around. And also, if you've got a cold or anything to do with the respiratory system, he said you can just blank out. You're in such agony you cannot see, and your whole face is just, you're just in such agony at a certain altitude. Well, he said it happened to him. It happened to him in England. He was flying a great big plane. I just forget now what kind of plane he said he was flying. And he had a cold, and he got to the certain altitude, and the plane in his face, he just lost control of the plane, and the plane started spiralling down the same way. But luckily for him, he had a co-pilot. He said it happened to him on one other occasion, flying, I think it was somewhere in Australia. He was flying, and he was at the back of the plane, and the same thing happened to the pilot, and the pilot, lost control of the plane because of this intense pain and blinding effect. And luckily, Doc Whitburn was able to get from the back of the plane to the front to fly the plane, but the same sort of thing happened. It was starting to spiral. You'll have to excuse all the ums and the ahs and the you-knows. I don't know, I didn't, I've been playing this back. I didn't realise I ended all my sentences up in the air. So there were a trail of stubbies. When they left the rig, it was about 65 kilometres from the rig to the Windora, to the airport at Windora. There were a trail of stubbies along the way where the boys had been drinking and just throwing the stubbies out of the car. Next morning, miraculously, all those stubbies had been picked up. Every bottle had been picked up. I just thought I'd tell you all this because it's interesting, and it's just, there's a lot of avenues of thought. Evidently, though, it's from what I've heard, it's common practice. It's been common practice over the years. When they're going out, they just throw all the stubby bottles out the window, and the drivers going back to the rig pick them all up. Look, I can't think of too many more things here. I've got it all written down here on an old envelope. The intercom was definitely on when the plane broke up at 6,700 feet. The intercom was on, but Doc Whitburn, rather, he was saying that the pilot might have been saying, well, look, there's the lights of Charleville, So, I mean, they can't go anything by that, really. Also, another plane, about a month ago, was a Beechcraft Queen Air. It crashed at just out of Charleville on a cattle station called Trinidad. And I was talking to this young guy, his name was Tim, in the bar, the hotel we were staying. And Tim was the first one on the scene. And that inquest is coming up shortly, and Tim's one of the first witnesses. And he knew Ken, and quite a lot of the other guys. He knew Ken and Stephen Kerwin, because he stayed with ATCO for 3 weeks on their lease and sort of did a bit of work with them. And I just thought, it's, I asked him what did the pilot look like, because the pilot was dead, and the guy in the co-pilot seat, he's still in a coma in Brisbane, and there's about 6 or 7 other guys that got out virtually without a scratch. He said he had a broken neck, the pilot, and he just looked, as if he was asleep. That was it. That newspaper article you got from the Australian newspaper I think it was dated the 4th of December. Pretty sure it was 4th of December, 83. And his name was Hugh Luntz. I'll never forget that name as long as I live, because if I ever meet up with him, pity help him. I've tried to phone him, and I've rung up the Courier Mail to get his phone number, and I've tried to phone him, but I haven't been able to get through to him. He said that all the guys were just, their bodies were nothing. They were just paste on the sides of the plane. And there was one brain and half a kidney, or one kidney and half a brain, or whatever. And that's why I've never believed Ken was in that coffin, even though I didn't really believe that article. Also, about 3 weeks ago, another plane went out to Charleville, the flying doctor service, in Beechcraft King Air, and one engine failed just out of Charleville, but they were able to land safely. Well, I don't think I have, much more to add. As I said, I'm very sorry I haven't written to you, all of you. I've been really down, and I've changed. I'm a different person out of what I was, and that's why I've been making so many phone calls. I think we've all changed, the whole lot of us, and we'll try to fill the other side up somehow. Danny is at a mate's place at the moment. I don't see Dan much these days, but he's a good kid, and he rings me up all the time, and wherever he goes, I know exactly where he's at, because he's always phoning me. And everybody's well. I had my sister and brother-in-law up here, 3 weeks ago, and we had a good time, and we're going down there probably on the 28th of December. And as I said, I'm sorry I haven't written. I said before that, I've started so many letters to you guys, but that got rubbed off somewhere along the way, that part of it. And I even found a letter I wrote just before Dad died to Mum and Dad that I hadn't written to them, I hadn't sent to them. So it's just, I don't know, things are just crazy and mixed up and upside down and back to front. This Kerwins, Rob and Margaret Kerwin, they said their son Stephen was killed. They come around 2 or 3 times a week. They're really nice people. Except Margaret goes on and on and on. I just, she's pretty hard to take sometimes. But anyway, we'll try to get the other side filled up. And this has all been done in a few hours. It's not like a letter that, it takes me months and months and months to write. Christian just brought me in some flowers. A little geranium and a little pink flower. I don't know what that is, but we just had a few words before, so he went outside and picked me some flowers. He's a good kid too. I love my boys, and I don't know what I'd do without them. Next weekend we're going out to a camp up at Highfields. It's about 15 mile out of town, and it's run by, we're going out the Saturday. We all sleep in the sort of community hall on the Saturday night, and they're going to have a bush dance, and Santa Claus, and go-karts, and cricket, and tennis, and football, and we're all going to participate. So we're all going up there not Danny's staying here, just Christian and I. So that's next weekend, and it's run by channel 1045A, our local channel, TV channel, and they're sponsoring the whole thing. Well, I suppose you guys are well into winter by now, and I don't envy you. Well, it's pretty hot here, and we had that snowfall back in the 3rd of July, 3rd and 4th of July. We had the snowfall, really freaky snowfall, but I tell you what, it was cold enough for me. Danny was staying over at Celia and Des's, and Christian and I, we had to sleep in the lounge room. We had to keep the oil heater on low all night, and we bought all the quilts out. We got continental quilts, and so we slept on the quilts and had other quilts over us, and it was just so cold that we couldn't go in the bedrooms. At 1 o'clock on the 4th of July, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it went up to 3 degrees above Celsius, and by 3 o'clock it went down to 1 degrees, and then I think it just kept going down and down and down. But Danny was really amazing, because he came home on the 4th. Silly brought him back on the 4th, and we had a really big snowfall on around about 1 o'clock in the morning, and just about all of Toowoomba were out at 1 o'clock in the morning making snowmen, and it's just a big novelty. It's just so fantastic. It was beautiful. And Danny went out in t-shirt and shorts, and in fact that's why I was phoning you. And he came in, and he had t-shirts and shorts on, and it was absolutely freezing. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, you would believe it, yeah. But with these big snowballs. Today is the anniversary of Dad's death. I'm going to ring Mum up tonight. He died last year on the 6th of December, and you probably think I'm crazy, but I've thought him around so much, and I've had so many dreams of him, and as well as Ken, Ken more than anybody. And I was talking to the other families out at Charleville, and they've all felt their families around, their sons around them, and Midge has really felt her husband around her, and I felt Ken around me. But on 3 o'clock on the Thursday afternoon, it was around about 3 o'clock, I just felt them all there in the courtroom. They were all there in force, It's really weird, because I really believe in these things, and a lot of people do now, but they're really helping, and I hope they're really helping, and anyway, we're all going to make it in the end. Thank you very much for the money you sent out for that insurance policy, but I really wish, that you wouldn't do that. That didn't belong to me, that belonged to you, and I very much appreciated the fact that, you did send it and you thought of us, but that was your money, and, it wasn't mine. And I sort of went cold when the postman came to the door. He comes to the door when you have registered letters, and I sort of went cold because I had a feeling. And thank you very much all the same, but please don't do it again. Well, I don't think I have any more to add. Since I got back from Charleville, I had this very good friend. His name was Graham, and we'd known him for years and years. And he was found dead on early Sunday morning in Bell Street, one of the streets here in Toowoomba, and evidently he died from a heart attack. He was 34 years old, or just going on 34. And it's just been one thing after the other. You know, it's, I don't know. I think life's crazy, you know. I just can't figure life out. I think it's crazy, but, you know, there has to be a purpose to everything. So, anyway, I just wanted to tell you about the magistrate out there. He was younger than what I am. He had black hair, a black beard, black eyes, and I got out there late. And he's a funny sort of a guy, you know. He sort of tried to evaluate what your husband was like through you, and what you were like, and what your life is like. And you're supposed to call him your worship, but and you're supposed to bow to him every time you leave the courtroom. You've got to bow. I never did, because I won't bow to anybody, because he's younger than me anyway. It's, anyway, I'll put Christian on right now. Come here, mate.
Good night, Grandpa. Good night, Grandma.
Hi, Grandma. Hi, Grandpa.
Getting back to this plane business, it was also common practice for the guys to sleep in the aisles or to sleep in the baggage compartment. So, you know, I don't know myself. I wouldn't have a clue. But evidently they were not on this flight. Also, I think we're going to appeal. If we don't get any satisfaction out of this next inquest, I think we might all appeal, and we could all throw in for a common solicitor. Really good one. So we'll just have to wait and see anyway. Well, I haven't got much more to add, except, you know, I don't know about the alcohol business and about the barbecue business and all this, and evidently Rex Dowman was supposed to have picked somebody the night beforehand. Rex Dowman was found with not one trace of alcohol in his body. Not one trace. And same as the pilot, Ken Moore. And they wouldn't be fighting on a plane. Especially with it's never happened before, and they wouldn't do it with a general manager on board anyway, so it's just so bloody ridiculous. It's just, you know, all these insurance companies, it's a great big amalgamated company, all come into one, and they're trying to just cut us out of our money, you know, and that's all they're trying to do. So I don't give a shit. I really don't care. And I might add, before I got out there, on the I think it was the Monday or the Tuesday. I think it was the Monday before I got out there. They really tried their hardest to pinpoint everything on Rex Dowman. They tried to blame Rex Dowman because he had a bit of colour. He was part Aboriginal or part Islander, and he didn't have very much colour, but he had a little bit of colour. His wife is white, and they just tried their hardest to sort of try to pinpoint it on him because, you know, of his colour. And that's the way it goes here in Australia. And I don't know about Canada, but that's the way it goes here. You got a little bit of colour in you, and you are, you know, you're rat shit. I have to add, just after saying that Aboriginals and any coloured people in this country are really looked down upon because they're second-class citizens, or they're looked down upon as being second-class citizens, and they're just really, as I said before, just rat shit. Not that I believe that, and not that a lot of people believe that, you know, but it's just the way it goes. So that's one of the reasons why they couldn't figure out why Rex was up in the wedge between the pilot and Ron Struddy. But Rex, he was sitting on the toilet seat. That's where he sat. All men with long legs favoured the toilet seat, and that's where Rex was sitting. So Rex obviously wasn't strapped in. He wasn't, you know, didn't have a seatbelt. So he was just thrown from one end to the other. Either that, or Ken Moore lost control of the plane, and Rex tried to sort of, you know, manoeuvre that plane into level flight. We don't know. One thing I do know is my Ken was firmly strapped into a seatbelt, and you know, I've sort of got no worries about him. But I know for a fact, in fact I really feel it, you know, none of those guys, they weren't fighting, they just weren't fighting. It's never happened before. Why should it happen then? They weren't fighting. Something happened to the plane or something happened to the pilot, and that's all there is to it. You know, I become really paranoid. I'd say in the last, 6-8 months. And I got that way. I wasn't letting anybody in. I wasn't answering phone calls, and, you know, just completely round the bend. Right round the twist. And I found out Midge was quite the same way. And I don't know, it's just, you know, friends and acquaintances are two different things. You got your friends but acquaintances, they sort of insinuate things all the time, and I had things insinuated all the time about the boys fighting and all this business, because people do want to believe the worst. I mean, that's just human nature. They do want to believe the worst. And all this business in the press about the boys fighting and drunk and, you know, carrying on. I don't know, just sort of, you know, damn near drove me around the bend. I want to add one thing more. On Ken's before he went out the last time, he woke up really early before, you know, it was still pretty dark. It was in the winter, and I didn't usually get up in the winter, but something made me get up. I just, you know, heard this voice inside my head, get up, get up. Okay, so I got up. Ken had this mushrooms and capsicum, onion and garlic bubbling away in the stove, and he was writing a resume for Desi Waldron. Desi Waldron had got him a top job overseas, but Ken was dead by that time, so, you know, I won't go into that. And this is the last time I saw Ken, and he went and Christian was awake, and he went in to wake Danny up. Oh no, he didn't go to wake Danny up. I made him go to wake Danny up because I said, go and wake him up. And he said, oh no, I won't wake him up. And he went in and woke him up. And he said that to Dan. He said, look, he told that to Dan. Anyway, on the last morning, he went and woke Danny up and told him that. And he woke Christian up and I was awake. And he went out and called a taxi, went out and put his port out in the front veranda. And then he came back in. And the last words I said to Ken, I said, have a safe trip, see you in 2 weeks. You know, Ken had a premonition that he's dying. I don't think he thought he was going to be killed, but he really knew he was dying, because he told me from the very first time I ever met him, that was about 18 years ago, that he was going to die when he was 41. And bang, he did. He was killed when he was 41. And we even talked about it in this last time home. He had, you know, we were together here in the house. And I said, how do you know? He said, look, mate, I've just got a gut feeling. I've got a real gut feeling that I'm going, and I'm 41. I'm sure he didn't think he's going to be killed. He thought he was just, you know, going to die. But anyway, as I said, I'm very sorry you haven't been writing letters. Well, g'day again. Well, this is about 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, 2.5 weeks. Finally back again, so I'll have to get this all finalised and posted. And he'd like to say a few words to you. He's one of Christian's mates. Come here, mate. Okay. This is Dale.
Hello.
Louder than that.
Hello.
Tell him what you do at school. Yeah. He goes to Gabonbar School. That's a school not too far away from here. And you like it, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. He's a bit shy at the moment.
And I'm
A bit louder.
10. And I'm turning 11.
Hang on, I'll just turn the TV off. I'll just turn the TV off. Dale will keep you. Oh, I'll turn it down. Come on, quick. Tape's running away. Yeah, well, Christian just spent the weekend up at Dale's place, or last couple of days. And Dale's here for the night. He's my third son, aren't you, mate?
Yeah.
Yep. And they went for a nice picnic on, when was it, Saturday? Went for a picnic out in the bush. They found a nice creek and they went for a picnic out there. And they're going out next week, and I've been invited too. Come on, Dale. Quick. I'm running out of words. It's unusual for me to run out of words. Well, Dale has a brother and a sister. Her sister. Right. Okay, so we'll say good day to everyone in that cold country.
Hello, everybody.
In the cold country?
In the cold country.
Right. Christian, come here and talk to your grandparents. Quickly. I don't care what you're trying to do, just come here and say good day. Say good day. Anyway, okay. I went out to Oakey, to Margaret and Rob Kerwin's place. Their daughter picked me up yesterday. She lives here in town and she drove me out to Oakey and ended up staying the night and got back about 4 o'clock this evening. They're really beautiful people and all the families, we're all really close, all the families I've met anyway, which is only 3, beside myself with 4. We're really close and we're sort of closer than family ourselves. And everyone's sort of looking after everybody else, and it's just really beautiful. We all write to each other too as well. Margaret gave me a piece of the plane today. Out at Addervale, there's still a fair bit of the plane on the ground out there. They were supposed to have picked up every nut, bolt and washer, but they haven't. And she's got what looks like part of the fuel line, and also quite a few parts of the wing, which just looks like molten lava. And she gave me a part of, well, I don't know what I've got. I think it's part of the stripping along the side of the plane. So it's
Dashing through the snow in one horse open sleigh, over fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits ride. What fun it is to ride in one sleigh, on a sleighing song tonight. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Yoo-hoo! Oh, what fun it is to ride in one horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingles all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in one horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow in one horse open sleigh. Over fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits glide. What fun it is to ride in sleighing song tonight. Yoo-hoo! Hey, jingle bells, jingles all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in one horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingles all the way.
a bit louder.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in one horse open sleigh.
Right. From Mr. Christian Wedder himself.
Bam, bam, bam. Pick hatches, swing today. Plaster clouds flying every which way. Workmen are covered with white dust like snow. Oh, come see the great demolition show. Slam, slam, slam goes the straight workman ball. Bam, bam, bam against the stone wall. It's raining brick.
Raining.
What?
It's raining.
Raining brick and wood in my neighbourhood. Down goes the houses, down goes the stores. Up stores?
Oh, right, sorry.
Up goes the building with 47 floors.
Talk up a bit.
Crash goes the chimney, power goes the hall. Zowie goes the doorway, Zam goes the wall. Slam goes the wall. Slam, slam, slam goes the steel wrecking ball. Bam, bam, bam. Changing
it all. You say changing it all?
Changing it all.
was really beautiful speaking to you all on Christmas Day. We had a really lovely day out at Lorraine's. We went out in the afternoon. We went to Bev and Jack Hangen's, and the kids went swimming, plus two big kids, Laurel and Nick. Laurel got pushed in actually. She came out with mascara all over her face, and we just had a really beautiful time. And the weather was really just perfect. It's after 9 o'clock, and Danny's still out in the garage, mucking around with his motorbike. He absolutely loves that bike. He loves any bike. He loves mechanics, or he's always tearing it down and putting it back together again. And so as soon as he comes in, I'll get him to add his bit, if I can. And